Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show. You can check me out on Twitter at Total Tutor, Neil S. Haley, Facebook, LinkedIn, Neil Haley, Instagram, Total Tutor, Pinterest, Neil Haley, Google Plus, and also on Periscope at Total Tutor. You got to be on all those different social media, but you also got to be buzzing. As right now, I have my team tweeting out interviews all over the country on syndication, and this one where some time, but because again, it's so fun getting to this TV studio. But I'm so proud of my co-host. I guess, as Dave Cable and I talked about, she'll probably be on her way out the door like we've had other people that have been my co-hosts that have gone into big greener pastures. Coach Karen Hall, ESPN analyst, now, okay, WPL Hall of Famer, UNLV Run and Reb, all those things. And you have another amazing guest that I connected with on radio 3-4 years ago, but you know, it's always great what he's doing in the community and the story of his great-great-grandfather, phenomenal. So go ahead and introduce.
So we're excited to have Sean Gibson, the great-grandson of the Hall of Fame legend, Josh Gibson. So please welcome to the show.
Thank you guys for having me. Neil, good seeing you again. We met in person.
No,
we did talk on the phone.
Talk on the phone,
Karen, we know each other for a very, very long time.
Yes,
so
indeed.
Thank you for having me.
Sure.
And yeah, you know, first of all, I'm excited to be here. As you mentioned, I'm the great-grandson of Josh Gibson.
Yes.
You know, one of the things that our family, we do have a Josh Gibson Foundation. But before I get into that, a little bit about me. You know, I grew up in the city. Born and raised in Pittsburgh. I grew up in the West End area. Went to Langley High School, Pittsburgh Public School grad. And went on to play basketball in college. Went to Robert Morris first. Broke my wrist, had a little injury. Then ended up transferring to Edinboro University, and I graduated from Edinboro University playing basketball. Criminal justice degree. So I had my degree in criminal justice, 1993, grad from Edinboro. And how I got started with the foundation was my grandfather, Josh Gibson Jr., actually started playing the Negro Leagues too. And he used to always be involved with what they call a Negro League circuit, where they would take Negro League baseball players with MLB baseball players around the country to sign autographs. And I would travel with him on the circuit. And how I noticed how I used to see a lot of Caucasian kids who knew a lot of our history. And I didn't see too many African-American kids coming about our history. Excuse me. So I remember driving back, was in a place called Chantilly, Virginia. Outside of D.C., and I remember coming back to my grandfather. I said, "Man, it's amazing how so many white kids know our history, and our own black kids don't even know our own history." And you know, he came up with the concept of trying to start something to. It was really a foundation. He just wanted something to do that can educate the youth about Josh Gibson, other great Negro League baseball players in our area. And that's when we came up and just let's do the foundation. Came with the mission statement and things like that. So. The foundation.
Well, let's rewind the script a little bit. So you're a basketball player.
Robert Morris. What year was Robert Morris?
87.
87.
I said 89.
Now, and you're doing baseball pretty much now with the Josh Gibson. So was baseball part of your youth development at all? Or no?
No, I never. You know, I played baseball, Little League. You know, just like everybody else played baseball, but I didn't play baseball in high school. Didn't play in college.
Were you a fan of watching baseball?
Of course. I mean, you know, I grew up watching, of course, Willie Stargell, Al Oliver, all those guys. I mean, you know, Barry Bonds. You know, of course, you're a baseball fan. You know, back then, I mean, the team was better now, but we was losing for a while. I mean, a few years ago. But when I was growing up, we were good. You know, along with the Stillers in the '70s. So, of course, a big baseball fan. And then. But for some reason, my grandfather, Jr., used to teach baseball. He worked for Boyce Park. He used to teach baseball to the kids on Boyce Park in Monroeville. And I never got into it. I played it, but it wasn't a sport. I didn't know the history of my family back then. I think if I knew more of the history of Josh Gibson back then, I probably did more with baseball. But, you know, basketball got me a free education, so it worked out.
So the family didn't force you to get into the baseball because they knew.
And you know what? My grandfather was a father. My father wasn't around. My grandfather was around. His whole thing was more about just getting into school, whether he played basketball, football, getting to school free. Whether he played any sport or academically, getting to school free. So that was the never push to play baseball. I mean, he would try to get me out there to play, But I excelled in other sports, football and basketball.
Okay.
So if you've got a child, you see them excelling in other sports, you're going to just go ahead and follow
You
with
see
that sport.
if you're that good in basketball, it's good. Anyone who plays D1 and D2 basketball is a pretty good player, and they're how many end up doing it. So they're not going to say, "Oh, go out and play baseball," where you're already seeing that talent in basketball. You're like, forget about it.
Exactly.
I can't. Once you're good enough, you want to hit the playgrounds every day because you and I are close to the same age. Well, you hit the playgrounds, right? Yep. That was what you were living is playgrounds at the time when they were on the court.
Because we didn't have technology back then. A lot of kids, I tell my kids, my fun time was outside.
Yes. Yes.
We didn't have the handheld. We didn't have cell phones.
Exactly.
Technology. You know, so come home from school, do your chores, do your homework, and you outside.
Yes.
You outside till the lights go out. So. But I get back to a point with my grandfather. I think the reason why he didn't push me or other relatives because he had so much pressure under him.
Okay.
Because he also played in the Negro Leagues.
Right.
He went to Schilling. He's a Pittsburgh Public School grad. Went to Schilling High School. He played overseas, and he also played in Canada.
Oh.
So he had a lot of pressure. And he would always say he was an average player, but of course, being the namesake of Josh Gibson, everybody expected him to be like his father.
Right.
And he was a second baseman, and he got hurt. And he played in the Negro Leagues the last 2 years with the Homestead grades in 49 and 50. So I think the pressure, he put the pressure on us because there was a lot of pressure on him, and you see how it affected him.
Yeah.
So I think, getting back to your point, I was never pressured because, I agree, he had a lot of pressure, though.
So criminal justice major, grad.
Yeah.
So you came out of college thinking, what did you want to do? What were you planning on doing?
I was actually looking to law enforcement, like FBI. I said, in no respect to the city police, I got a lot of city police officers, but I said, if I'm going to college for a degree, I'm shooting big.
Yeah.
Right.
But FBI was looking into that, and but then, when my grandfather, we talked, and we started this foundation. He wanted to do something with the name. And he felt that I was the one who could be able to carry the name.
Okay.
Right. And the thing about it, though, with nonprofit, especially when you first start off, it's no money. I'm 23, 24. I want to make some money coming out of school. I ain't trying to, But you know what? He was paying me. A decent little bit of money that kept me happy. So it worked out. And I was just telling someone the other day I would never change it because I think for me it's more than a job. It's more of my family legacy. So it's not just about getting a check, or it's not just about doing X, Y, and Z. This is carrying on a legacy that I'm also preparing for my family and my kids as well. So that's the good thing about this, the foundation. It's a family name.
Yeah.
So you worked for it first before being really...
Exactly.
So you got to learn the ins and outs. And what did you see from learning about your great-grandfather's heritage and just his lineage and the sport of baseball and everything, that you were a fan of baseball, but you did not know as much from being part of the foundation? Yeah.
The one thing I've learned, there's two ways to look at it, and I tell people this, because you have the family version, which is always good.
Right.
Then you have, I had a chance to meet a lot of Negro League baseball players when I was younger. Wow. And hearing my family's version, which is not a bad story. They give you all the good stories and great stories and stuff. But here, my thing is, I learned a lot just talking to Negro League baseball players that were living. And, a lot of, if you look at some of the photos, a lot of the guys, that's how I first found out. Someone said, you look like your grandfather. You get the body figure, you get the body stature of your grandfather. But hearing, talking to Marty Irv and Buck Leonard, I never had a chance to meet Satchel Paige.
Okay.
But a guy named Double Duty who died when he was 106 years old. A guy named Buck O'Neill. Hearing those stories about my grandfather. And again, when I say the stories, it's more of the stories that's off the field. Because everybody know pretty much Josh on the field, but how he was off the field as far as how, he's a happy-go-lucky guy. He's very... comedian type guy, very outgoing from what I understand, very generous with his money, giving people money, homeless people. I was told one time, when he played for the Crawfords, he had a house in the Hill District, but he also had in the Crawford Grill, had apartments over top of the Crawford Grill. Yes. So he had an apartment up there. And he would give that out to people who didn't, on the street, who didn't have a place to stay. He would let them stay in his apartment. So a lot of things like that that I would hear from Negro League baseball players are some of the stories I genuinely appreciate.
So you fast forward, and to actually sit here and say you had an opportunity to talk to the living legends of the Negro League, that is really heavy to grasp that. So how fortunate you were to have that opportunity. But we fast forward, and how did you take and become from just someone inside the Josh Gibson Foundation, learning the ins and outs, to now becoming the CEO? What was that transition? Did someone mentor you toward that and say, Sean's it?
Well, you know what? Actually, my grandfather, Junior, he died in 2010, so he was around for a little while. When we first came with the concept with the foundation, of course, with the whole thing with any nonprofit is just your board. You gotta have a great board. It doesn't matter who I am. You gotta have a great board. And we were blessed in the beginning of our years to have a great board to get everything established, 501c3s, legal paperwork, all those things together.
Right.
And then to make it grow, I'm always thinking of new ideas. I tell people who run nonprofit, you got to have new ideas because funding streams, they only fund you for certain many programs for so many years. So you got to keep coming up with new ideas.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I think that we have done with the foundation. We started off strictly with just baseball.
Okay.
And that was like the carrot to get the kids in, because we know sports will bring kids in. If you say, okay, I got an after school program, they're like, okay, wait.
Exactly.
So baseball was our carrot to get them in. Then once we got them in through baseball, we hit them with the educational components.
Yes.
So, okay, if you want to play baseball, you got to do X, Y, and Z in this. Then once we did that, then we start getting more kids, we start growing. Then we start getting partnerships with Pittsburgh Public Schools, Duquesne University, some local universities, University of Pitt. Kurt Bruce is on our board, University of Pittsburgh. So we start building relationships throughout the city. Then we start coming up with different programs. Like I said, the one program we have called BOSA, which is called Business and Sports Academy. And it's a program that we really, one of our board members hit it on the nose. He said, look, we're a sports foundation, so why reinvent the wheel?
Right.
So we came up with a sports curriculum for high school kids. And it teaches kids the business sides of sports. So we got sports media, sports marketing, sports law, sports sales, and sports events. And we just took a field trip yesterday to Cal U, who has a great sports management program up there. And it's through the Pittsburgh Public Schools, and it's through sophomores, juniors, and seniors. You get college credits. So we have those ideas. We have that school program, we have summer camp. So we kind of expand ourselves, but we're not just one-dimensional. Because people think of us as just a baseball program.
Right.
We're more than just a baseball program. So we do if you go to our website, you see we do a lot more than just baseball. So so we're getting back to I think how to make it grow is just reinventing. Like I said, just keep thinking of new ideas.
Stepping outside of your box. Expanding.
Like the opera. That's another thing outside the box.
So talk about the opera.
Yeah, so, this year is 2016. So next year is 2017. We have two major projects coming on.
Okay.
One is called Josh Gibson Heritage Park, which is called FedEx Grounds Josh Gibson Heritage Park. Thank you, FedEx, for their sponsorship. But that'll be an actual tourism site. And what it's going to be is it's not going to be statues. And that's the thing about technology has changed so much. So they're going to be more of on a brick wall, and the statues actually coming out of the wall like a 3D figure.
Oh, wow.
These are going to be colorized bronze, and they're going to be lined up. If you're familiar with Station Square to Sheraton, so as you come out the Sheraton Hotel, it's that garage right there. It's the sidewalk. So they're going to be lined up from one end to the other end. It's going to be 8 of them total. And it'll be educational things, so it'll be a kiosk and things like that. It'll be voice activated.
Right.
And the one thing that we do, we also do a Josh Gibson Gala every other year. Our last recipient we honored was Barry Bonds. So we videotape everything that we do. So we have sound bites of those guys talking about Josh Gibson. So we'll plug them in. So if we say we have a narrator, say if it's like our documentary, we had Bill Hillgrove as our narrator. So we had Bill Hillgrove. He'll just lead us. So here's Josh Gibson played for the Homestead Grays. Let's see what Barry Bonds said about Josh Gibson. And you'll hear Barry Bonds' voice come in.
That's great.
Talk about Josh Gibson. We got Barry Bonds, Reggie Jackson, Lou Brock, Warren Marshall. We got all those guys on sound bites that's going to plug in. So I think that piece there is going to be a little different because it's not actually you talking about the person.
Yeah,
exactly. You actually got celebrities talking about these guys.
All right, so when we get back, we're going to talk more Sean Gibson about the Josh Gibson Foundation and much, much more. You're watching The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Visit the Oliver Miller Homestead, an 18th century reenactment site located just off the circle on Corrigan Drive in South Park. Self-guided tours are available each Sunday from May 1st until December 8th from 1:30 until 4:30 p.m. with guides in 18th century garb located around the grounds to answer questions and to give information. Your tour will begin in a reproduction bank barn where displays give information on the movement west. You will also see the Miller Still and learn about the production of whiskey and the importance of it and of the Whiskey Rebellion to this area. Follow the Miller Trail up the path and visit the transportation shed, demonstration shed, forge, a reproduction log house, the original spring house, gardens, and finally end at the stone house. Each month, the guides host at least one special event. The homestead is also a great place for tours, tailored to the needs of school-aged children, scout groups, or adults. Visit our website at www.olivermillerhomestead.org for a schedule for the year and much more information on the history of the Miller family, our organization, and pricing information.
We're back to the Neil Haley Show. Check me out, hopefully, at neilhaley.com by the time this airs. I'm hoping, again, the logistics of building a second website, taking the education side and pulling everything else out, the entertainment side, it's different for me, but it's an unbelievable process. And I'm with Coach Karen Hall.
Yes.
And Coach, we're talking to Sean Gibson. Yeah. And, you know, it's a very interesting story. And it's great to talk about, you know, the current and former baseball players that speak highly of your great-grandfather.
Yeah.
That really has to be humbling to know that they really kind of have the history of the game, some of them, and understand that.
Well, the way we look at it, we do when we do our gala, we have something called the Josh Gibson Legacy Award, and we give it out to a baseball player. And we've been fortunate to have some great players. Like I said, we had Juan Marshall, Lou Brock, Barry Bonds, Reggie Jackson, and you know we had Barry Bonds last year.
Right.
And you know it was, you know, people thought, you know, Barry, but I can tell you right now, I met Barry. I've sat with Barry for 2 days. Perfect guy, man. I couldn't ask for anything better. All the story. I mean, and again, whatever people heard about Barry, until you meet the person, it's totally different. Yes. And he even admitted, you know, one thing he told me was, he said, you know, people think I'm a whatever. He said, but you got to realize when you're a high-profile athlete and the media is constantly in your face, you don't know until you're in those shoes. You can't because he said, man, I can't go to the store. He said, when I was going through that home run chase, he said, Sean, literally, media was at my house every night. I couldn't go to the store. He said my kids were younger then. I couldn't take my kids to school. And he said, you know, as a father, you want to be a regular guy with your kids.
Right.
I understand. He said, I understand the territory it comes, but when this comes, he just feels like there's certain things kids are off limit. You know, when you're with your kids. Yeah. If I'm with my friends or by myself, or even with my wife, okay, but when this is with my kids, it's off limit. So, I mean, he has some great stories. One quick story was, of course, y'all really familiar with the him and Jim Leyland argument? Y'all familiar with that?
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay, well, this was when Barry played here. This is spring training, and this is a big argument between Jim Leyland and Barry Bonds, and it's a lot of cuss words, and Jim Leyland like going off on Barry, like, this is my team, this and that. Yeah. So me and Barry's coming from lunch, and I said, well, I had asked, because Jim Leyland was the honorary chair. So I said, Jim, do you mind if we play this clip of you and Barry? He said, Sean, I'm fine with that, but ask Barry first. So I asked Barry, and Barry said no at first. He said, why do you want to show that? He said, that's old, it's in the past, you know, me and Jim moved forward. Then as we get closer to the hotel, he said, you know what, Sean? Yeah, I want you to play it, because he kind of told me the story behind it.
Yes.
So we played the clip, and it's all bleep, bleep, bleep. So the whole audience is laughing, right? And so Barry gets up. When he does his thank you speech, he talks about the award. And basically about the video, and basically what he was saying was, the argument was not between him and Jim Leyland.
Right.
The argument happened between him and another coach was arguing. Jim came in and protecting his coach. But I think Barry explained the story, and he said, Skip, you were right. I was wrong. And when he said that, I can tell you right now, you can hear a pin drop. I think a lot of people appreciated Barry, because nobody expected Barry to admit that he was wrong, number one.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? But when he gave the story of how everything happened, he said Skip was sticking up for his coach. He was, blah, blah, blah. He apologized to Jim Leyland right there for everybody. and it was just like silence.
Ah.
So I think it took a different level, at least the people that was in my audience, took a different level of respect for Barry Bonds.
So Major League Baseball has been very good to the Josh Gibson Foundation via the Pittsburgh Pirates. What are some of the ways that they have physically and that we can see today? I'm familiar with the Ammon Recreation Center, so some of those things.
So MLB, a few years, 2008, we partnered with the Pirates, Pirate Charities, specific to do Josh Gibson Field, which is actually the old Ammon Field where Josh Gibson first started playing.
In the Hill District.
In the Hill District, right, where he first started playing baseball. So MLB was involved because they have something called BTF, it's called Baseball Tomorrow Fund. So it's the fund that comes from there. So they go around to different cities and they renovate fields for youth. Because the whole push back then was, and it still is trying to get more African American kids to play baseball. As you know, right now it's about 6 or 7% of African Americans playing baseball.
Right.
Compared to when we, at one time we had an all minority team, 1971, with Al Oliver and those guys. So it's changed a lot. So the Major League Baseball, they get the urban academies.
Right.
They doing a big push with these things. So BTF, they goes around different cities and renovate fields. So we were fortunate to get a lot of funding from them as well as other local foundations to create Josh Gibson Field. So what they did was we got new dugouts, press box, scoreboards, 2 new fields, the concession stand, and it's been great. It's been great. So the kids enjoy it. So we really enjoy being up there.
You're the phenom from Philadelphia.
Can
you talk about the
Monet Davis? Well, we had Monet Davis twice before she came a phenom. We played her. Her dad, her coach Steve is a good friend of mine from Philly. So when she was 11 years old, she came down here, and he was telling me about her, right? So I'm like, okay. So they gets off the bus, and our team greets them and everything. We're talking so before we play. I said, hey, Monet, how you doing? I heard she was a better basketball player because they had her on YouTube. So no lie, I'm doing my thing. They're watching the game. I think we were winning, then they start beating us. And I'm at the concession stand. And so the concession stand is stay here and about 30 feet down the field. I got my back turned, and all I hear is this ball hit the glove, right? And I turn around, and her bus driver's there. And I say, was that girl? You see her braids? He said, yeah, that's her ace. I said, wow. So I go down there, right? And then, she was good, but then, of course, the next year later, 2 years later, she blows up.
National scene.
Yes, and she's on Sports Illustrated, but then we played them again last year down in Manchester Field. But, of course, everybody wanted her to pitch. She didn't pitch. And it was like paparazzi down there, man. It was probably one of the best things that ever happened down in Manchester. There was so many people there. I mean, she's very humble, very well educated. She goes to a great school. She has a baseball card, so one of the coaches was giving her baseball card to pass out to our team, right? So she was like, no. So he passed on because she's kind of shy. She knows how to embrace the attention, but she don't ask for the attention. So she's kind of shy, so she didn't want to pass out her cards. So I said, I'll pass them off for you. Here, everybody get it. But I think again, the name Josh Gibson, I try to explain to our kids, you'll get to meet certain people, get to be in certain opportunities because of the name Josh Gibson. And our kids, they'll never forget that. It was a great experience.
People that played in baseball with the foundation and things like that, have any of them gone on to play in?
No, we got one famous player right now. That's DeJuan Blair. That's it. Even though DeJuan played basketball, he played in our baseball program as a kid.
But your foundation is an opportunity for the youth to not only through a sport, but from the educational side. To being able to learn how to engage with people.
So it's more of teammates, business, everything, all the different things that encompasses the foundation.
like I said again, we use the sports as a carrot. But we open up. We got so many opportunities. We got, like I said, we have summer camps, after school program. We have a high school curriculum. When we have our galas, we get our kids involved with volunteering. One of the things I try to expose our kids to is volunteering. Give back to the community. So anything that we got going on, fundraisers, we get our kids involved in that. So it's more of just, like you said, the foundation. We're really teaching these kids how to be adults when they come of age. So it's more of a mentoring 24/7 as well as getting involved. We help them with coaches, resumes, job interviews.
That's great.
We do professional dress days. So they got a lot. It's more than just sports.
So the leadership component, I'm always loving hearing about how you're able to help kids transform into this rough little kid, and they age into the program, and then you can see some of the transformation happening through leadership. Can you speak about that?
Perfect example. We got a kid right now at Westinghouse. His name is Keyshawn Johnson. He was in 10th grade, man. This guy was a knucklehead.
Right.
Just a knucklehead. Keyshawn, now he got the Need Scholarship. Now, from the transition from 10th grade till he's a senior now, so I'll tell you, he got a scholarship from Need. He got a football scholarship to Cheney. He's a football linebacker, so he got a full ride to Cheney for football. Yeah. And he's going to study forensic science.
Wow.
So you take a kid who was in the 10th grade, who was a knucklehead, after having a conversation with him several times during his sophomore year, as how people portray African-American males, to see that transition from a 10th grader till now, and see a scholarship, and he's going to study forensic science.
Wow.
That's what you call leadership. And all it takes sometimes is a conversation with kids, because somebody just want to have them. Some kids just need someone to talk to, and you talk to them, you give them some advice, be there for them. And I tell our kids, you can talk to me about anything. It could be sports, money, girls, whatever. Yeah. It's not just because you have something to do the foundation of scholarship. We can talk about anything.
Sure. Right.
And I think as an African American male, we have a lot of African American males in our program as well as females. It's good for them to just relate to me because I come from public housing. I went to a single parent. I went to college on a scholarship, so I've been there and done it with some of these kids that have done. So I can relate to some of the things they're going through.
Interesting. And that's the ultimate goal of the foundation is pretty much definitely to get
our ultimate goal is to have future leaders. That's
the great thing, because a lot of times people use the foundation with sports, and then sports comes first. It seems like it's education and leadership and the game of life.
Exactly.
That's what it seems like for sure. Yep. Now, Sean, best place to find information on the Josh Gibson Foundation, all those places, where can we go?
Yep, just go to our website, which is joshgibson.org, and we also have a Facebook page too. It's Facebook, Josh Gibson Foundation, our Facebook page. Yes, that's only two. We're not on Twitter. We don't do Twitter.
Yes, interesting. That's the one that's Pittsburgh's not catching up to, because it's become the one that.
Well, Twitter, you got it.
No. See, you have an expert like myself in Twitter, and I got my team tweeting right now. Syndication all over the place. My phone's just blowing up. I tweet all the time. All over the place, and I'm all over social media. But it's an important part because of just the awareness.
But one thing we are looking to do is, we just talked about this yesterday, is that we're going to actually have our high school students create our own social media outlets. So they'll do our own social media for Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, then what's that, Snapchat. These kids, and that's the thing I was telling our teacher. I said, look, let's have the kids do it, because they know all that stuff. They know it better than we do.
Exactly.
These kids know how to do all that stuff. So I said, look, let's set up something.
They know how to create the content, they know other things, but the one thing that I've seen everybody, finding followers, getting people. That's the most important, biggest thing.
Social media.
That's where it is. You got to find that audience and find the right target audience. Right. Well, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate that. And best of luck in all the ventures. And again, that was the Neil Haley Show. We'll see what information comes up very, very soon. All the different things going on with me. Just follow me at Total Tutor right now. I'm telling you, I tweet all the time. You will know all the major celebrity interviews from everything. Again, this is already going on my 4th interview of the day, and I have about 3 more to go today. So it's been a very, very interesting day. And every day is check me out on all the different social media sites and watch Neil Haley Show next week and listen to the Total Education Network Total Celebrity Show every day. Take care, everyone.